You wake up every morning, face the world, and deep down you wonder, does anyone really care? The truth is, no one gives a shit. And that's the best thing that could ever happen to you. Because the moment you realize that no one is coming to save you, no one is obsessing over your failures, and no one is waiting to hand you success on a silver platter, that's the moment you become free. Free to take risks, free to fail, free to build something incredible without the weight of other people's opinions slowing you down. So the question is, what will you do now that you know no one gives a shit? Because the only person who truly holds the power to change your life is you. We often go through life worrying about what others think of us. We hesitate before speaking up in a meeting, second guess our outfit choices, or overanalyze a text we sent. We replay moments in our heads, assuming people are judging us, scrutinizing our every move. But the truth is, no one is thinking about us nearly as much as we think they are. People are consumed with their own lives, their own struggles, their own insecurities. Just as you worry about how you are perceived, so does everyone else. Most people are too focused on themselves to spend much time analyzing your choices, mistakes, or actions. That embarrassing moment you keep replaying in your head, it's likely forgotten by everyone else. We often give too much weight to the opinions of others, adjusting our actions to fit in, to be liked, or to avoid judgment. But if no one is truly paying that much attention, why let the fear of their perception dictate your life? The fear of judgment is often an illusion, a self-imposed barrier that holds us back from taking risks, speaking our truth, and pursuing what we actually want. This realization is not discouraging, it's freeing. It means you can make mistakes, try new things, and push yourself without the burden of constant scrutiny. The weight of other people's opinions is often a weight you place on yourself. The moment you understand that most people are caught up in their own worlds, you start living with more confidence, making decisions for yourself rather than for the approval of others. And instead of worrying about what people think, shift your focus to what truly matters, what you want to create, who you want to become, and the impact you want to leave behind. We often let the fear of judgment paralyze us, convincing ourselves that every misstep is being analyzed by those around us. We hesitate to share our ideas, to take bold action, or to step outside our comfort zones because we assume that others are watching, ready to criticize. But the reality is, people are far too preoccupied with their own lives to focus on yours. Think about it. How much time do you spend thinking about someone else's minor mistakes or choices? You might notice something in the moment, but soon after, your attention shifts back to your own concerns. The same is true for everyone else. People are wrapped up in their own struggles, ambitions, and self-doubts. They're not replaying your awkward moments or scrutinizing your decisions the way you think they are. This belief that people are constantly judging us often comes from our own insecurities. We project our inner doubts onto others, assuming they see our flaws as clearly as we do. But in reality, they don't. They're too busy thinking about themselves. And even if someone does judge you, their opinion holds no real power unless you let it. When you recognize that the world isn't watching you as closely as you feared, you start to move differently. You take risks without overanalyzing. You step forward without hesitation. You embrace failure as part of the process rather than a public embarrassment. The fear of being judged is often the biggest obstacle standing between you and your potential. But the truth is, most people are too busy worrying about themselves to worry about you. And once you internalize that, you free yourself to live fully, unapologetically, and on your own terms. We tend to believe that people are watching our every move, analyzing our mistakes, and forming opinions about us. This belief can be paralyzing, making us afraid to fail, hesitant to take risks, and overly cautious about how we present ourselves. But in reality, people are far too concerned with their own lives to be paying that much attention to yours. Every person you encounter is dealing with their own challenges, insecurities, and ambitions. They are focused on their own dreams, their own struggles, and their own problems. They may notice something about you for a brief moment, but then they return to thinking about themselves. That awkward thing you said in a conversation last week, you might still be overthinking it, but chances are the other person barely remembers. The illusion that people are constantly judging us is rooted in our own self-consciousness. We assume that our flaws, failures, and imperfections are on display for the world to see, but the truth is, people are not watching as closely as we imagine. They are too busy living their own lives, just as you are caught up in yours. This realization is liberating. It means you don't have to live for the approval of others. It means you don't have to constantly adjust yourself to fit into a mold that doesn't even exist. It means you can take risks, make mistakes, and grow without the fear of being under a microscope. When you stop worrying about what others think, you start making decisions based on what truly matters to you. You reclaim your freedom, your confidence, and your ability to live authentically. We move through life under the illusion that people are constantly watching, judging, and forming opinions about us. We hesitate before speaking up, hold ourselves back from taking action, and overanalyze our every move, fearing what others might think. But the reality is, most people are too busy with their own lives to be thinking about you. Think about the last time you saw someone trip on the sidewalk or make an awkward mistake in conversation. Did you spend hours thinking about it? Probably not. You noticed it for a moment and then moved on. That's exactly how others treat your mistakes too. They might glance, they might notice, but they don't dwell on it because they are too busy navigating their own lives. Most of the judgment we fear is imagined. It's a reflection of our own self-doubt projected onto the world around us. We assume people are fixated on our failures because we are fixated on them, but in truth, others are far more concerned with their own problems, ambitions, and insecurities than they are with anything you do. This understanding gives you power. It allows you to take action without the constant fear of being watched or ridiculed. It frees you to fail, to experiment, to step outside your comfort zone without being paralyzed by judgment. The moment you realize no one is paying as much attention to you as you think, you stop seeking permission to live your life. You start making choices based on what you truly want rather than what you assume others expect. And in that moment, you unlock a new level of confidence, clarity, and freedom to become exactly who you were meant to be. We live in a world where we assume every move we make is being watched, judged, and evaluated. We hesitate before trying something new, fearing what others might think. We replay conversations in our heads, obsessing over whether we sounded foolish. We hold back on sharing our ideas, worried that someone will criticize us. But the truth is, people are too busy with their own lives to be thinking about you as much as you think they are. Everyone is the main character in their own story. Just as you spend most of your time thinking about your own challenges, dreams, and insecurities, so does everyone else. The reality is that most people are too preoccupied with their own problems to analyze your every move. They may notice something you do for a brief moment, but then their focus shifts back to themselves. Most of our fear of judgment is a reflection of our own insecurities, not actual scrutiny from others. We assume people are watching us because we are hyper aware of ourselves, but in reality, no one is dissecting your choices the way you do. The fear of being judged is often the only thing holding you back from taking the steps you need to succeed. Understanding this truth is freeing. It means you can make mistakes, try new things, and take risks without the weight of imaginary judgment. It means you no longer have to live for approval, but can instead focus on what genuinely matters to you. Once you let go of the illusion that everyone is watching, you begin to live with more courage, authenticity, and purpose. The fear of what others think disappears, and what remains is the freedom to chase your own definition of success. We spend so much of our lives trapped in the fear of what others might think. We hesitate before making decisions, second guess our words, and avoid taking bold action because we assume people are watching, analyzing, and judging our every move. But the truth is, no one is thinking about you nearly as much as you think they are. Everyone has their own priorities, their own problems, their own struggles. And just as you are wrapped up in your own thoughts, worrying about your future, your challenges, your next steps, so is everyone else. People might notice something you do for a fleeting moment, but then their focus shifts back to themselves. That embarrassing thing you did last week, you're the only one still thinking about it. Most of the judgment we fear isn't real. It's a projection of our own insecurities. We assume people are scrutinizing us, but in reality, they're too busy worrying about their own lives. Even if someone does form an opinion about you, it's usually temporary and insignificant in the grand scheme of things. They move on, just as you do when you briefly notice something about someone else. Once you understand this, everything changes. You stop waiting for permission, stop seeking validation, and start living for yourself. You realize that failure isn't as public as you feared, and taking risks isn't as dangerous as you imagined. The moment you let go of the belief that everyone is watching, you step into a new level of confidence, freedom, and control over your own life. You stop playing small and start living boldly, because the only opinion that truly matters is your own. We often let the fear of judgment shape our decisions, constantly second-guessing ourselves, trying to fit into someone else's expectations. We think people are watching our every move, waiting for us to slip up or make a mistake. But the truth is, most people are too wrapped up in their own lives to give much thought to yours. Everyone has their own internal struggles, their own goals, and their own fears. They're so caught up in their own world that they don't have time to focus on yours. The embarrassing moment you keep replaying in your mind, they probably don't even remember it. The mistake you made in front of others, it's likely long forgotten. We overestimate the attention others pay to our actions, imagining that they are constantly judging us, when in reality, they are too preoccupied with their own thoughts. This realization is freeing. It means you don't have to live for the approval of others. You don't have to constantly worry about how you're being perceived. The moment you stop seeking external validation, you begin to make choices based on what you want, not what you think others expect of you. The pressure you feel is largely self-imposed, a result of the illusion that everyone is watching. When you stop caring about what others think, you create space for true growth. You stop holding back, take more risks, and stop worrying about looking foolish. Instead of trying to meet other people's expectations, you focus on what truly matters to you. In doing so, you start living a life of authenticity, confidence, and freedom. The fear of judgment becomes irrelevant, and your potential expands. We often hold back from pursuing our goals because we think others are watching, waiting to see if we succeed or fail. The fear of judgment keeps us from taking action, from speaking up, from stepping into opportunities that could change our lives. We believe that our every move is being analyzed, that people are invested in whether we win or lose. But the truth is, most people aren't paying nearly as much attention to us as we think. People are busy. They have their own priorities, challenges, and distractions. They're not watching every detail of your life, evaluating each decision you make. The mistakes you think are monumental, they're likely already forgotten by everyone else. The slip-ups you obsess over, they probably didn't even register with others in the first place. The judgment you fear is mostly imagined, a projection of your own insecurities. Once you realize that no one is as invested in your success or failure as you think, you free yourself from the pressure of external expectations. You can stop waiting for permission, stop seeking validation, and start making decisions based on your own desires and vision. The constant fear of judgment, of being analyzed and criticized, fades away, leaving room for confidence and bold action. By shifting your focus from what others might think to what truly matters to you, you reclaim control over your life. You stop worrying about the opinions of those who are more focused on their own journey than yours. This is your path, your future, and your responsibility. The moment you realize that no one is watching as closely as you fear, you start living with more freedom, authenticity, and courage. The second piece to getting leaner is losing the pound of fat. So we live in a constant state of worry, assuming that everyone is watching and judging us. We overthink our actions, scrutinize every word, and fear the consequences of making a mistake because we believe that others are invested in our every move. But the truth is, most people are too preoccupied with their own lives to be focusing on you. Everyone is the center of their own world. Just as you are dealing with your own challenges, dreams, and insecurities, so is everyone else. People may notice something you do in passing, but that moment of attention quickly fades as they turn their focus back to their own issues. The embarrassing moment you've replayed in your head 100 times, it's likely long forgotten by everyone who is involved. The fear of judgment we experience is often based on an illusion. We think that others are scrutinizing us because we're hyper aware of our own flaws, but in reality, no one is paying that much attention. They might observe something for a brief moment, but they quickly move on to their own concerns. And even if someone does pass judgment, it rarely carries as much weight as we think. This realization is empowering. It means you don't have to live to meet others' expectations or seek constant approval. It means you can take risks, make mistakes, and pursue what matters to you without the constant worry of being judged. The freedom that comes from knowing no one is watching as closely as you think allows you to move forward with confidence, to pursue your goals without hesitation, and to live authentically. The opinions of others lose their power, and your focus shifts to what truly matters, your own growth and success. We are often paralyzed by the fear of judgment, thinking that every decision we make is under intense scrutiny. We worry about what others will think of our choices, our failures, and even our successes. But the reality is, no one is paying as much attention to you as you think. Everyone is caught up in their own world, consumed with their own concerns, ambitions, and challenges. They may notice something about you for a brief moment, but then their attention quickly shifts back to their own lives. The mistake you think everyone is focused on, it's likely forgotten as soon as they move on. The judgment you fear is often an illusion, created by our own insecurities and overthinking. into once you realize that people are not as invested in your success or failure as you thought, everything changes. You stop waiting for validation or permission from others. You stop living in fear of what people might say or think, and you start making decisions based on what is best for you. This understanding gives you the freedom to take action without hesitation, to make mistakes without guilt, and to live without the weight of imagined judgment. The moment you let go of the illusion that people are constantly watching and judging you, you unlock the courage to live authentically. You begin to focus less on how others perceive you and more on how you perceive yourself. And that shift allows you to take control of your life, your choices, and your future. So here's the truth. No one is watching you as closely as you think. The fear of judgment, of failure, of being criticized, it's mostly in your head. The world isn't waiting for you to slip up or expecting you to be perfect. People are too consumed with their own lives to give your actions the attention you fear they are. The moment you realize this, everything changes. You stop holding back, stop seeking permission, and start living for yourself. You take risks, make mistakes, and chase your goals without worrying about how you'll be perceived. The pressure you've felt, the self-doubt, the fear, it all dissolves when you accept that you're free from the imagined judgment of others. This is your life, and the only person who can truly hold you back is yourself. So stop waiting for others to validate you. Stop overthinking every move and start living with confidence. Take that first step, even if it's uncertain. Embrace your failures because they don't define you. Own your journey because no one else is going to do it for you. And remember, no one gives a shit about your missteps. And that's the best thing that could ever happen to you.